In this video, we're going to be solving inequalities in two variables. So that's important. Before we did it only in one variable. Now we're doing it in two variables. So we have the variable x and the variable y, and they're two totally different variables. So I just want to point out, when we only had one variable, we only graphed on one line. But since we have two variables, we are graphing in the xy coordinate plane. So now we're graphing in an area. Before we can graph this, let's just notice that our y is not by itself, so we need to do some math to get the y by itself first. So what's happening to my y term? Well, it's being multiplied by -2, but it's also being added to this 5x. So let's get the 5x out of there. So we're going to subtract 5x on both sides of the inequality. The negative always goes with the number behind it. So this leaves me with 2y is greater than or equal to -5x minus 10. They're not like terms, so I can't combine them. So now I have this -2 being multiplied to the y. I need to turn that into 1, which means I'm going to divide everything by -2. Notice I did all terms. So that leaves me with y, but I have to be very careful here. Because I'm dividing by negative, I have to flip that inequality. Negative divided by negative is now a positive. So this here is my equation of the line. So if we notice, that's in slope-intercept form. So this is very similar to y equals mx plus b. So we can go ahead and graph this. So I start with my y-intercept, which is where y is 5. So y is 5. My y-intercept is at 0, 5. So right there is my y-intercept. I have a slope of 5/2. That's up 5, right 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Since I can't go any higher, I'm going to do them both negative. I'm going to go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 2, 1, 2. And I'm going to continue that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Okay. Because this has the equal bar, the line that I draw will be solid. So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to go through my points. Put my arrow on because it continues. Okay, so if this equal bar weren't here, this line would be dashed. So let's just make a little note. So if I have this or this, it's going to be a solid line. If I have this or this, it's going to be dashed. And dashed means like this. Okay, so that's just a little key that we may want to have to help us remember. So now, because this is an inequality, I'm going to read this, y is less than. So I'm going to go to my y-axis. I'm going to put my pen right on top of my y-intercept. Where does y get smaller? Does y get smaller as I go down, or does y get smaller as I go up? Y gets smaller as I go down. So that means I'm going to shade on the underside of that line. So the only way we can show inequalities in two variables is by the graph, because every value underneath this line is our solution. So I have to shade all of this in. And in fact, if we were to actually run a test to see, if we were to pick some point along here, let's pick 0, 0. 0, 0 is right here. That's a good point to pick. I could have picked any point in here. This will make this true. Okay? So if I do, so I'm going to test So I'm going to test the point 0, 0. This is my x, this is my y. So that means if I have 5 times 0 minus 2 times 0, that should be greater or equal to negative 10. And in fact it is, because 0 is greater than or equal to negative 10. I could have picked any point in this region and it would come out to be true.